What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
And to be clear, it's possible because we're recording this in advance that I should be the host in this episode. We don't know.
Right, we are
This
full
is like
2 weeks ahead.
A lot could have happened in those 2 weeks.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, so formal warning in case something bizarre happened in the world and we're not discussing it today. It's because we're way ahead.
Because we're way ahead.
Which is due to because of the fact that you and I have our final two little like vacation trips of the year.
Vacations.
So yeah, we planned it poorly, which is to say that I leave for a week and then you leave for a week, which means that everything that requires both of us, which let's face it is basically everything about this job,
it's a lot,
had to be done before either of us left.
For the most part, like you could still work on on your video when you get back, and I can still work on my video for next week. So everything else, though, we gotta get knocked out. Which this is thankfully, I think, the last thing we have to record.
I know we're in good shape.
Yeah.
We're in good shape. I'm proud of us for all of the things that we have done.
So busy.
However, you, the listener at home, is now just listening to it in the present. So none of this is particularly relevant. However, so last week we had...
It could be relevant if like really important things happen in the next 2 weeks that are like, I can't believe they didn't talk about that.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we gave a non-spoiler warning about anything that's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if anything, you the listener are the only one who could spoil it for us, people of the past.
Right.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I know. We were talking about shower thoughts over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, you brought some up.
Did I bring up the one that somewhere in the future you are talking crap about current you?
I think you did bring that up on the one with Beth and Alice, but I think that it's like it's so true because like I constantly find myself looking back at past me being like, man, that was so dumb. That guy didn't know what he was thinking. If only I knew now what I knew then. And it's like and even though me in the present knows this about me in the past, me in the present is very reluctant to believe that me in the future will feel that way about me right now.
No, even more than current you knows.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean completely. This is like, it's actually interesting because I have like a tidbit in here that I wasn't even attempting to segue this to. However, I do think it could potentially fit. Which is sort of this like it's maybe the fundamental idea or difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Knowledge and this is it's just like I'm sure everyone's heard this, but I'll bring it up because it's one of my just absolute favorite. I'm not even sure what the word for it is, but just observation. Maybe it's a bit of wisdom, really.
Right,
what
sure.
It is that knowledge is knowing that a tomato is actually a fruit. Wisdom is not putting tomatoes in fruit salad.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite things ever. It makes so many things so clear to me because Ben, I have just known people who would have put the tomatoes in the fruit salad.
You're so right.
Not only would they have, but they would have
insisted that they were correct.
Insisted that they were correct, and even have been excited to be the one to just be waiting for people to point out that this was a weird choice. It'd be like, well, actually, and just like it doesn't matter how correct you are about tomatoes being a fruit. You have done the wrong thing. It is not correct to put tomatoes in the fruit salad. Like, you can be as right as you want, you're still wrong.
Right. The question for me always is this a battle for this particular person in that it's their quest for superiority or a byproduct of their own individual insecurity? Or is it both?
I don't see why it can't be both.
Porque no los dos.
Porque no los dos, Ben.
It is absolutely, it's always interesting to me to sort of attempt to apply those lenses as to what actually is driving the person's motivations here.
Right.
You know, because chances are, you know, those things go so aggressively hand in hand that you don't actually know where one ends and the other begins. So anyway, I always think that's interesting. But I found a really good line here, and I don't even know if it beats your tomato analogy, but it is knowledge gained through this knowledge. Sorry, let me try this again. Knowledge is gained through the studying of new information, consists of a rich storage of information. Wisdom, on the other hand, has more to do with insight, understanding, and accepting of the fundamental nature of things.
Yeah, it's the exact same sentiment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but this one seems more bookish, whereas
It
yours
does.
seems much more like it could be included in like a fantasy novel as something that like the wise person says.
Yeah.
and you're like, oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to take that to heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to digest that. I'm going to understand it. And so the reason that I brought this up is because last week when we were chatting with the girls, we talked a little bit, and I feel like we were making light fun of astrology
Sure.
by way of going through and reading some horoscopes. And it's the thing is that like it's interesting to me because the day following our recording session with the girls, Alice sent me like a thing that says like water signs that show you've grown, and so they're like specifically dedicated to I'm a Scorpio, so a water sign.
You know what's weird to me is that Aquarius isn't a water sign.
It's air, right?
Yeah, I think yes.
I think it is.
Yeah,
yeah.
it makes no sense at all.
It actually makes zero sense at all.
It's like, but like aquarium, aqua. It's the water bearer, not a water sign. Got it. Cool.
I mean, you're more like a cloud,
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
like
what is a cloud
if not a water
if
bearer,
not a water bearer?
an air-based
Yeah.
water bearer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Basically, I'm a cloud.
You are a cloud.
Yeah.
But
Lots
like
of people. I get that a lot.
but
like
like-
you're so cloudy.
Oh, but
That sounds gloomy.
It does sound. It
It
sounds very like
does.
Eeyore,
Yeah.
or like sadness
Never
from
mind.
inside
We
out.
need to rework this.
But
Okay.
no,
anyway, continue on.
I just-
Water bear or water sign person over there.
Water sign person over there.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I think that the reason that Alice sent this particular list to me was in part in due to the fact that we had the recording session. I think she was just like very like playfully being like salty about it, and she was because the list comprises things that I have spent like the last 5 years of my life, like basically I would say dedicating almost every conversation that I've had sort of in the quest of like self-betterment, I suppose.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating to me about this is that like, yes, we can poke fun at like, you know, sort of this idea of astrology or whatever, and the lack of like basis maybe that it has like in, you know, scientific fact or something like that. But the thing is that like it's unbelievable to me how like this is like a post that an astrology Instagram might put up on like any given Tuesday,
Right.
and they have one of these for every single sign, you know, and there's like probably a database of like hundreds of them.
Sure.
And so it's like I look at this and like on the surface I want to call it like sort of just like cheap or in the same capacity as maybe like the perspective we were having in last week's episode about it. However, the thing is that like everything it's listed here, it's like it's odd because it's almost like the words on the page, it's like are known pieces of wisdom, and it's almost like it's impressive to me that something like astrology is where a list like this that comprises everything that I've committed so much time and energy to like trying to gain wisdom on. It's like, oh, it's like here's a list of all of those things in one place. So let me read them to you.
Okay.
So to get everybody on the same page so that they know what I'm talking about. So for water signs, it says, these are signs that you've grown, prefers keeping some energy for themselves rather than giving it all to other people. This has been like a big one for me, I think, especially since having Addison, where I have on multiple occasions sort of addressed this idea that maybe prior to having her in my life, I could give a lot of myself to so many different people and still have room left over at the end of the day.
Sure.
You know, and I think that with her, it's definitely become one of these things where it's like, oh no, now I need to regulate,
Yeah.
you know, because otherwise I'm overextending and I'm like wearing myself out.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
And I think before I could do it and I had there was that bandwidth available, and now there isn't. So it's definitely been something where I've had to like learn to do this. Like I've had to like learn to like say no preemptively, even if in that moment I have like the energy to like complete the request.
Yeah, sure. Like that's the next one too, has the ability to say no.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Has the ability to say no. So, I mean, you guys have heard me say it. I don't even know if this is a bingo square at this point, but it should be. But sort of like my battle with being a people pleaser, is like basically summed up in basically the ability to say no, because that's the opposite of the people pleaser's mantra.
Right.
Which is much more in keeping with, what is it called? Improv. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's
say yes.
Say yes.
Yes and.
Yes and.
Yeah.
That's like the underlying rule of improv is like whatever anybody says. Are we going ice cream shopping? Of course we're going ice cream shopping. You know?
And then we're getting on a bike.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
So the next one we have on the list here is forgives themselves for what they've been through. Which like makes me just a little tiny bit emotional to say out loud. Ends cycles of self-punishment and guilt. Feels content and peaceful in silence.
Can I tell you that this says water signs that you've grown. This to me could easily just be retitled signs you just had a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it could. It could be reappropriated a million different ways.
I'm like reading all these. I'm like, I feel like these all are extremely applicable to myself as well.
Yes.
A non-water sign, apparently.
A non-water. Well, and so that is part of what I would say about this is that like on the one hand, it's like I'm under no illusion that these principles would apply specifically to like water signs specifically.
Yeah, the 25% of the population that falls under water sign.
Yeah, no, 100% of the population could all benefit from actually like pursuing the quest, which is the wisdom attached to these sentiments.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the thing is that like none of these thoughts are particularly profound. Like almost anybody, like if you're comforting a friend, might be able to come up with the sentiment. Like it's always okay to say no. It's always okay to put yourself first.
Yeah.
It is like genuinely understanding like and doing and implementing the you know onions worth of layers that come with what that means.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not just it's easy to know, it's easy to say. This is the tomato is a fruit type of thing. It's like it's easy to have the knowledge that this is a thing. Actually implementing it is the knowledge not to put it in the fruit salad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was sort of what's in a way fascinating to me about like the way that like a list like this can just exist. Because in my mind, it's like it's kind of like humbling because it's like all. It's like I have tried so hard at times to like learn the shape of the world or like understand you know how things like fit together. And basically what keeps happening is I'll come up like with my own analogies, you know, for common insight, such as this,
right?
Where it's like I'll try to give like some super elaborate analogy, and it's like, yeah, that's forest for the trees. Like you can't see the forest because the trees are in the way. Like you're not looking at the big picture. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like and it's odd because like a lot of times I will come to that realization. Like I think I was recently telling everybody in the office about how there was a comment made earlier this year. I was doing this like fairy garden in our backyard, right? And it's this like concrete ring that exists back there, and we were planting like wildflowers, which are good for like pollinators and stuff. And I remember somebody left a comment on that video, and they were like, "Hey, you should really not disturb like the earth in this like fairy ring garden, that thing that we have in our yard, because those are like homes to pollinators." And it was kind of one of these things where I was like, man, you're looking at like such a small piece of everything that's going on here, because if you were to zoom back, you would see that like what we're doing is specifically planting for pollinators. And if you were to zoom back even more, you would see that like the rest of my yard also has like so much consideration placed to pollinators. Right. And it's like you have been blocked. Your view of the forest has been blocked by the single tree that stands before you, and that is a very common expression, right? But it's almost like I needed to like work through it using like my own example, then be like, man, I wonder if anybody's ever thought this before. And it's like, yes, they have absolutely thought this before. However, I think that like that kind of critical thinking and attempting to like come up with that conclusion is like part of achieving the attached wisdom, going beyond simply just knowing the words, but like actually like understanding,
like experiencing, going through the experience of the wisdom.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so I guess that's like it's an interesting piece to apply to like this thought of like astrology or whatever. It's like they come up with all of these things, like all of these sentiments that like are so kind of broad strokes that they can feel very personal, even though they could very easily apply to so many people.
Right.
But the fact that somebody was able to recognize this like innate reality of the world in such a way to then include it as an example of one of these things still demonstrates a lot of brilliance.
Well, yeah, sure. And this is like, I think what's sort of like remains fun about horoscopes. It's like, does what you're reading on the page have anything to genuinely do with the position of the planets or space, like the day you were born? Like, no, definitely not.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it's still not like very fun to go read your horoscope every day, because despite the fact that anything you read could apply to anybody else, there is 1 out of the 12 that will apply to you. And it might just like, if it encourages you to have like a better day or to like take a different action that day, or like think about something more critically, like it's still fun.
Right.
Like, there's not really any like super duper like harm in that for the most part, probably. Maybe if it's like you should invest all of your life savings today on a risk. Like,
that's not a horoscope.
That's not a horoscope, first of all.
That is a scam.
Yeah, that is a scam. Yeah, but most of the time, yeah, for most of the horoscopes you read will be something like this, like or just very general, like be on the lookout for a new opportunity today to make a new friend. It's like, that may not have anything to do with the fact that you were born in February, but it doesn't mean it's not something that maybe you could be on the lookout for today.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's still encouraging in a way, even if it's just at random.
So maybe again, if we go back to our tomato example, it's almost like knowledge is the realization that the position of the stars maybe isn't what's dictating today's slate.
Yeah.
Wisdom is knowing it's okay to be encouraged by it anyway.
Sure. Yes.
I like that.
There you go.
Yeah, I love it.
Yay.
Okay. Horoscopes
there.
capped.
Yeah.
We've done it. Transition.
All right, Ben, I had a dream last night.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. I know it didn't. I don't want to talk too much about like dreams or whatever, but in the dream, I came up with a joke.
You did?
I did.
Was it corny?
It was not a particularly corny joke. I think it was something of a rather long-winded joke.
Oh gosh,
if I may. But the setting was this.
Okay.
In the dream, I don't know how we got there or anything, but me and several other like YouTube influencer people had been, I guess, I don't know if captured or whatever. We had all been placed in a specific room, and it was, I guess, World War II times. It must have been, because our job, whatever it was to once a day we all had to go in and make Hitler laugh. That was the premise or whatever.
This is a very
terrible situation to be in.
Yes,
obviously. I don't know what was going down. I want to say what was happening was that my brain was like lightly recreating this situation from the movie Boondock Saints.
Okay.
Which I'm not sure if you remember, but at one point there's this like Russian mob boss guy, and he has this guy come in and he's like, tell me a joke. And he tells him a very racist joke, which I won't say on the pop.
Okay.
But it does make him laugh. And it was just like, okay, that was super random. I looked that up this morning. I was like, that felt familiar. Where was it? But anyway, the point is, it gets to be my turn, and I'm last in line, and everyone else has done a great job making him laugh. And I'm like, oh boy, I got a lot of pressure. pressure. I don't have any jokes ready. But I start trying to like remember a joke. And the punchline to my joke was, you think that's bad? I just got stabbed pretending to be a snowman. And like I woke up and I was like, and like I had like told the entire joke and there was this entire story attached to it. And I was like, man, I can't believe I remembered that joke. And then I'm like trying to remember, like, is that a joke? And I was like racking my entire brain, my entire history for when did I ever hear the joke in which this was the punchline for?
Right.
And I'm like trying to like reconstruct what the joke was entirely. And I think basically I was having another combination. I think I had a different joke from my past that I was warping a lot in the dream to end on that particular punchline, but I looked it up and I could not find any joke that ended, at least on the internet, with "you think that's bad? I just got stabbed pretending to be a snowman." Or whatever.
This sounds like a fun challenge, like for Reddit, is to write the accompanying joke.
Write the accompanying joke. It did remind me of one of my other favorite jokes from all time, which is probably what the dream was sourcing here. I'm gonna guess. Okay. But now that I feel like we've gone this far, I feel like I'm gonna need to tell the joke.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So, but I think you've probably heard it before. Maybe you listening at home have heard it before. It's as ever, a bit of a long-winded joke, but I think it's worth it.
Hey, you know what? We got time.
All right, so set up for the joke. We have three guys standing in line trying to get into heaven, and it's St. Peter, I think, who guards the pearly gates, right?
Okay, sure.
And it turns out that, oh boy, heaven's just getting real full today. So he has been instructed to only let people in if they have had just a truly bad day here on the day they die. Because, I mean, let's face it, you died that day. Probably a bad day anyway. Just, a little light barrier to entry.
Okay.
Here, so we got our first guy in line. He walks up and says, whoa, hold on. You got to tell me about your day. I can't let you in unless you had a really bad day on the day you died. And he's like, oh boy, don't you worry about that. Let me tell you about my day. For weeks, I have been suspecting that my wife has been cheating on me with another man. So today I left work early to go home to try and catch her in the act. I get home, I bang on the door. I hear some clamoring about on the inside. She answers the door. And I start looking around. I'm like, oh my gosh, he must be here right now. In fact, I even go in the other room and I find someone's pants, not my pants, on the bed. And I'm like, I've got him. So I search the entire apartment. My wife is, of course, yelling at me the whole time. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Of course, I'm not having an affair with you. I search the entire apartment and I just can't find him.
Okay.
But then I see on the balcony, I live on the 23rd story of an apartment building, someone's fingertips hanging over the balcony, and I just know I've got him. I run over and I just look down. Sure enough, there's a man hanging there. I throw him off the balcony and he lands 22 stories below, not on the ground, actually in a tree. Can you believe it? It breaks his fall. He doesn't actually die. So in a fit of rage, I take our refrigerator, throw it over the balcony. It hits him, kills him instantly. Then I'm so excited and crazed in the moment that I have a heart attack and die. And that's how I got here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So bad day. Wife cheating on him. Maybe committed murder. Not great. Anyway, he gets in.
Okay.
Guy number 2 walks up. He's like, oh, no, hold on. You got to tell me about your day. I can't let you in unless you've had a bad day. And he's like, oh boy, have I had myself a bad day. Let me tell you, I got to work today. I've been working crazy hard all week, and my boss walks into my office first thing in the morning and just tells me that I'm fired. That's it. It's over. And I can't believe it. I've been putting in so much work lately. I'm infuriated. So I go home, I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm freaking out. What I do when I'm stressed though is I start working out. So I'm trying to calm down. I'm doing my workout, and I live in like the 22nd story of an apartment building. So where I do my pull-ups is on the balcony of the guy above me. So I'm sitting there, I'm doing my pull-ups, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this crazy guy comes up, throws my arms off, and I'm like, what? Now, would you believe it? I hit the trees below. It breaks my fall. I survive. I cannot believe it. But I only have about a minute to not believe it because the guy then gets his fridge and throws it on me and I die instantly. And I can't believe he hit me with the fridge. Honestly, it was a pretty good shot. If I'm being
It's
real.
not a
It was
bad
23 floor shot.
Right.
Anyway, so that was my day. Can I get in? And he's like, yeah, I see what's happening here. But yeah, you can go on in. Yep, you can go on in. Guess the guy number three. Guy number three says, oh, hold on. Got to tell me about your day. Can't let you in unless you had a really bad day on the day you died. And he goes, bad day on the day I died. Poof, I have a story for you. All right. Picture this. I am naked inside a refrigerator.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Dude, that was such a good retelling of this joke. That was
you.
so good.
Thank you.
I was fully enraptured in it.
Excellent. Good.
Oh my gosh.
Have you heard it before? I feel like I probably told you that joke before.
I feel like this is a joke that maybe we passed around in like middle school or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I swear it's probably been 20 years since I've heard it.
Oh.
It was like the makings of it. I was like, it was almost like watching like an episode of your favorite cartoon from when you were a kid, like years later, and then sort of been like, oh yeah, like I remember this, and then chocolate. Like I know where this is going. But you got to the second guy, and I was like, wait a second. Okay, like I thought what was going to happen was like this big miscue, and I mean that is like what's going on is that like everybody's story was like
they're all the same story,
somewhat related. But I really thought that the third guy was going to be the one who kind of like fell into like the absolute like worst version of it, and I guess what he did do was fall. But
yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's such a well built story.
Yeah, it's very fun. It just circles back on itself. There.
It does. It does. I'm naked in a refrigerator.
What? Oh, because he was having the affair.
What a way to go.
Yeah.
Man, what a little hot spot too for, it's like you guys all seem to be coming from like the same like city block here.
Yeah, like, man. Oh, it's all related. I got it. Yeah. So anyway, if anyone wants to come up with the rest of the joke for you think that's bad, I was stabbed pretending to be a snowman.
Yeah, you could use the exact same formula.
I think you probably could use the same formula, but that's the punchline. So that's your challenge, little colonels. Come up with the rest of the joke.
And maybe whoever writes the best one, you can do a brilliant retelling of it, just as you did with this time. Because that would be so fun.
That would be fun. Okay, I'm excited. Someone give me a joke.
I'm actually.
I need to make Hitler laugh. Apparently.
No, wrong.
Nope. Yeah,
wrong. But I do think it would be fun because we're so far out that we might forget.
Oh, that's true.
So now it'll be like 3 weeks from now minimum before we actually.
Yeah, we'll be like preparing the pop for the following week, and it'll be like I'll be looking at Reddit and be like, oh, what is this? Oh yeah, excellent.
This is gonna be great.
It's gonna be a great. Chris will know the punchline going in, but that's okay.
Well, maybe I'll have forgotten it by then because I mean it's been like 20 years since I heard the other one, and I forgot the punchline of that one.
There you go.
I was like a refrigerator, like how about that? Oh man, I'm like tickled. Not really. Just I genuinely got a good chuckle out of that.
You did, man. That was good. I'm glad I made you laugh.
You absolutely did. Absolutely did. Anyway, I think that's going to count as our corny joke for the week.
I think it's going to have to. It wasn't a particularly corny joke, but it was a joke.
It was corn quality.
Corn quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not at the tier level of corny jokes.
Right.
But right there.
Right there.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Transition.
Okay, Ben. So you shared the link for your list of shower thoughts the other day.
Yeah.
That is a bunch of people have collected. And I was looking through them and a couple of them stood out to me. One was that peak productivity is when one is so lazy that they do all their work in advance so as to avoid doing it later. And I loved that one because I was like, no one sentence has described my work ethic more ever.
I was literally I saw that you had copy and pasted that into our document here, and I was like, that is Jay to the letter.
Yeah.
Like works his butt off so he can do nothing.
Right. Like you telling me I could possibly be not working because I'm prepared to work a whole lot for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why my ultimate plan is to retire by the time we're like 40 or something. You know, that's going to be real great.
T minus how far?
T minus 5.5 years.
Yeah, we have a lot of work.
We got a lot of work to do, man.
Yeah.
Got to get it done.
But the
no
thing-
time to rest.
What I love though is it's like, well, what would you do in retirement? And you're like, oh, probably make videos. Maybe record a podcast
Like,
with my
maybe
brother.
if we could finally finish all this work and I could retire, I could actually get back to what I want to do, like making videos or something.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
exactly what we're already doing.
I know. Wouldn't that be funny if like we retired and I was like, man, I'm just gonna spend so much time making, like, I'm gonna really get into it now. Just like spend a lot of time making something, and it was like more successful than anything we did. That'd be weird.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah.
That would be weird.
I don't know about that.
I wonder. Yeah, it would be so fascinating because I mean, this is frequently. Let me see if I can give a good example here. It's like trying to dance instead of just like doing what the music is telling your body to do.
Oh yeah.
Does
Like,
that
you
make
can't
sense?
try to dance. You just have to dance.
You just have to
You
dance.
just have to feel it.
You just have to dance.
Yeah.
And this is like the thing that I think will get me so badly is that like the more just absolutely like fun I'm having, the more like I've noticed this at like all like the various like GMA weddings and stuff where I've had like an easier time dancing, and I think it's just because I'm so very like in the moment with it and everything that's just sort of like I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's like one of the entire eras of existence that I like just missed sort of along with like online dating because I've basically been in a relationship in some capacity since I was like 19.
Yeah.
So it's been weird because like I met Alice and like one of the things that she liked to do like when we first started talking was like go out and go dancing, and I was like nightmare fuel much. Like I can't even like how does that even work, and like are you excited to be dancing with the person you're dancing with, or do you just go and dance by yourself? Like I literally don't understand the rules of going out to go dancing like even at all.
Ben, this could not be more parallel to your previous example of having needed to go through the experience of zooming out on your fairy garden.
Oh, yeah.
To understand the metaphor.
Right.
It's like like it's the exact same thing. Like you're trying so hard to understand it that you have like you can't see the dance floor for your like I don't know.
for the dancers.
You can't see the dance floors for like something's like blocking you, like trying so hard to understand it and like failing to just like feel the music.
I know, I know. It is the thing. It is the thing. It's like okay. Here's maybe not a bad example. Vulnerability. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things about the story of Name of the Wind is there's this like civilization of people who have like zero taboo about like nudity and stuff like that because they're just like they don't think anything of it. Like it's just not a thing. It's like nothing to like worry over. Like completely natural type of situation to be in. And so they have like very just like a very what we would consider explicit approach to all things related.
Right.
But on the flip end of things, they see like the performance of music as like basically just the like most vulnerable you could make yourself.
Right.
And therefore to do that in public would be like absolutely unheard of.
Right.
Like you know, it would be basically literally our equivalent of just stripping down and walking down the street naked and like whatever. It's like
Right.
like how could you do such a personal thing in front of like anybody except for your most loved ones?
Right. Like this is way too intimate to be publicly shared.
Yes. And so I think here would be like I almost feel like I have this about like I will speak typically very openly about like a variety of topics that I think sometimes will catch people off guard because like I don't have a lot of discomfort talking about like very serious, deep, you know, like I I don't know, like, yeah, like there's really typically not like many topics that are like entirely off limits to me if like we're sitting down and having lunch. You know, like
Sure.
I'll pretty much just go like any which direction and just be fairly wide open about it. And I think for some people it does make them uncomfortable in a very similar capacity where it's like man, I feel like I need to be like with very specific people under very specific circumstances and like have my head absolutely right to discuss this type of stuff.
Right.
And it's like that is almost like my relationship with doing something like dancing where it's like man, like that is to like let your guard down so far that you are just like feeling the music and being okay with like whatever your body does in reaction to it.
Yeah.
It's almost like the amount of lack of control that I feel like I have over the perception of myself inside of that situation is like massive. You know, it feels like way too, it's like I can't do that in front of other people. I can barely do it by myself in a room alone.
I know, I was gonna say, like, if it was just you and Alice in your living room, would you feel comfortable?
Possibly more likely. I have found
So
that
no.
Yeah, I would say not it doesn't immediately like say yes. However, I would say at our house, almost at all times, we have music playing because we have like our record player, and we just basically just like flip it over and keep it spinning all the time. So like if we're home and awake, it's almost always on. And so I have found that like with Addison in particular, like I will pick her up, hold her up and like into the mirror, and like we will just like sort of dance back and forth. And it's like it has been interesting to me that it's like with Addison in particular that it has felt like that much more approachable. And it's not to say that I'm like breaking it down or anything like that, but just like even like rocking back and forth, the types of things that I could do at a wedding and completely get away as like passively dancing.
Yeah.
That like I can't bring myself to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I can do that.
Okay.
You know, that feels like progress, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's something.
Way to go, man.
But maybe it's because Addison can't judge me.
She'll love you no matter what, no matter what, no matter what.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
There's that.
Yeah.
That's like the bonus thing. It's like it really doesn't matter what you do with your kids, like, because they're gonna love you no matter what, and they're gonna be embarrassed by you no matter what. So like whatever.
It's true. It's true. But I wonder what those embarrassing things could be, because it's almost like and I feel like when like I'm even just trying to think as a parent. Did you ever have like any of those like Maylin moments from like Turning Red? I mean, I don't know if anything's like that.
Oh yeah, where mom and dad were like insane embarrassment levels.
Right.
Boy, nothing like Mei Lin in Turning Red. That's pretty much the height of embarrassment, I think, right there. But the one that immediately comes to mind was on the I don't even know. I don't even think in the moment I was embarrassed, but like maybe, I don't know, maybe that helped. But on the very first day of 6th grade, so the very first day of middle school, you know, where you're being introduced to tons of different peers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whole new group of kids who's unfamiliar with you and your parents, especially where we went to middle school where like I think like 9 to 10 different elementary schools flood in.
Yes.
So like where we went to high school, it was like 3 elementary schools. So there's not like that many. You could probably know a lot of the kids. So this is like mostly you don't know people.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Dad, as you know, would film annually the video, The Year in Carlin, so he was filming for all sorts of things. And of course, the first day of school is always a really big deal. And this was my first day of middle school, the first time any grandchild in the family had ever gone to middle school in any capacity. So he followed me all the way down to my locker with the camera.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Which at the time, like, I don't think I felt embarrassed at the moment. He probably even asked me, like, do you care? And I was like, I don't care. But
I have talked to him about this specific thing before, and I think he's even said that he got back in the car and he was like, he might be too old for this. Maybe this was the line. So I think Dad was like aware of it, but it was also probably one of those where it's like it had been so commonplace for us to do this exact tradition
right
for our entire life, which is very funny. But also I feel like as we were telling that story, Ethan, we do have video
Oh yeah, of course we have the video, which
we-
you can see because it was in the year in Garland. So.
Right. So we should absolutely include that as you're telling that bit of
gosh.
story. If you're watching on
That's
the
just
video
great.
portion of it. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what you were wearing on the first day of 6th grade?
Probably nothing cool.
What?
I don't, I don't know.
I don't know.
remember.
Okay. I think that you know that I have a tendency towards like sneakers. You know,
These
like,
days.
These days.
Yeah.
Even those days.
Even those days.
Yeah.
In 6th grade?
in 6th grade.
Yeah.
So it was actually 5th grade. This was like one of these like monumental like shift moments of my life where I realized that wearing shoes is like a cool thing. Which, by the way, it's been a while since I've brought it up, but just general Ben tip to life is that when in doubt, compliment someone's shoes.
Pretty good.
Yeah. It's also bonus points. Just mean it. You know. Like it's not like this
Just
is not
mean it.
like mean that you like their shoes, you know, like it's not like this is again, it's knowledge versus wisdom. It's like it is good to appreciate someone's shoes because it's like typically something they've put some personality into, but it's not a tactic. Like I am genuine, if that makes sense.
It does not make sense.
So do you think that I'm just saying it like because I know it works?
I think probably some of the time.
No, not a fact.
Ben, you can't make yourself like someone's shoes.
No, but I am aware of I will say it when I can mean it.
I see.
If this makes sense.
Then it's not a good tip because if you can only say it when you mean it, then you just say it anyway.
I think that you'd be surprised at how often you can say it and mean it. Mm-hmm. This is my thought.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, though,
Here, hot tip. Say it and appear to mean it. You're going to get the same reaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, but I think that it all spawned specifically from this one pair of shoes that I bought in 5th grade. Well, I say I bought, Mom bought for me. But they were these, I think they were called Nike Prestos. And they were like the first like shoe that was meant to like slip on.
Okay.
And they were red and they had like, so no laces.
Oh, yeah. I remember these.
Yeah, they were red. They had like a silver cage, like a plastic silver cage,
Cool.
where like the laces kind of like would have been. And then on the back heel, there was like a little like fin. You know, like how sometimes there's
Like for extra speed.
for extra speed.
Yeah.
yeah.
Extra aerodynamics.
Sometimes there's like a loop there, so you can like put your finger through to like pull your shoe on. No, this was a fin for speed.
Yeah, exactly. Boom.
And I thought that they were the coolest looking shoes ever. And I remember seeing the commercials for them, and I think I dragged Mom to like 5 different shoe stores because like nowhere like carried them.
Yeah.
Like, we always went to like Rack Room Shoes, and like it was like you had to go to like a Foot Locker or something.
Right.
Something
Yeah.
that had,
Yeah.
like,
An exclusive store attached to it.
yeah, like the new releases.
Boom.
And so anyway, I got them, and I do remember that I was really excited to wear them, and I wore them into class on 5th grade, and I remember just like all the heads turning, and people were like, "What are those?"
Whoa.
Just like in Black Panther when Shuri's like, "What are those?"
What are those? She's kind of making fun of him, though.
Yeah, but in this case, people weren't. I don't think they were making fun of me.
Okay.
Or else maybe they had heard my tip from the future.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, compliment shoes.
Compliment those shoes.
Great tactic."
Yeah.
But
I thought it wasn't a tactic, Ben.
you have established.
Wow.
You have established its tacticness.
Hoisted by your own petard, it would seem.
No.
Indeed.
Anyway, what I'm attempting to say is that these people could have been saying it as a tactic, not that I would say it as a tactic. There's a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference.
All right.
Anyway, this is the reason that I remember the shoes that I was wearing on the first day of 6th grade.
Okay.
Because I had these red Nike Prestos that I was like so proud of, and it was almost like it felt like it became this like defining characteristic, like of who I was. And then I remember that going into 6th grade, I wanted to get like a new pair so that I could have like a fresh pair for, the first day.
Right.
And they didn't have any more of the red ones, so I had to get these they were like tie-dye Carolina blue.
I don't remember this pair that you had.
No?
No.
Okay.
Although maybe it's available in the year in Carlin. You wore it on the first day of 6th grade.
It very well could be. I think that there is footage of me walking, at least on the sidewalk, on the way in on the first day.
I feel like I do remember what I wore on the first day of 8th grade, which would have been the same day in question.
Okay.
It was I believe it was a navy blue polo with some stripes on the collar.
Wow,
It was
sharp.
red and white. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. I also remember the exact hairstyle I had, which was flat down, parted, parted to one side.
Flat down,
Flat
parted.
down. Just like basically imagine my hair, but stuck to my head and parted off to the side. Yeah, real cool, no doubt.
Here's another one. Here's another one. We were talking about like looking back on like how future versions of you were talking crap about current you.
Yeah.
Dude, I have this with like my hairstyle, my beard style, sunglasses.
Yeah, I remember for a long time you were afraid to do anything that appeared to be trendy in any way because you would never want to look back on yourself and think, wow, that guy was trying so hard to be trendy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I tried to be as timeless as possible with as many things as possible.
Right.
And it doesn't work the way that you want it to. Even what you think is timeless in the moment is still probably being somewhat influenced.
Right. Like what you think of as timeless in the moment is actually still reflective of the trends of the time, and now you're just poorly leaning into it because you're actively trying not to.
Yes. Yeah.
So you may as well just be as trendy as you can
At all times.
at all times.
And then even if you're laughing at yourself in the future, it's like chances are whatever you're laughing at yourself for wearing in the past will come back around
Coming
again.
back around.
Alice very famously, so at Nude, the new shop that we have that sells like secondhand clothing and stuff.
Yeah.
It's Alice once upon a time, like even before we started dating, had bought this like trunk of like 90s clothes, and it was just like, just like a whole bunch of stuff that was in style in the 90s that like had been out when she bought it in like 2014 or something like that. And it's kind of just been like in storage and hanging out, and like finally all of these things are like way back in. And
Yeah.
so now it's like genuine pieces from the 90s that are just like
Ba-boom.
flying off the shelf, which is really funny and interesting to see that like it's like we have now lived long enough to like watch it happen the first time, completely die, and then come back again.
Does that mean that, do you think that means that like within 10 years it'll be like the styles of the 2000s?
Absolutely, I do.
You think it moves in the exact same pattern over and over?
It's probably somewhat linear because it needs to have been a specific amount of time, but I could also see it being the case that like certain generations get like maybe like skipped or something. So like the style of like maybe the 80s like didn't come back around as the cycles have like circled through again, but might come around again like in 10 years or something.
Right.
So it maybe depends on like what its half-life is or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, how long it takes to like find its way back into orbit.
Right.
But almost always what I think happens is that like people are trying to be like cutting edge, but really like when it comes to clothing, it's like there probably are still only so many ways to be cutting edge and still providing the necessary utility that clothing requires.
Right. It's like, it makes sense that it would go in a cycle because each next generation would try and differentiate themselves from the past, but also not just their immediate past, but also the past behind that past.
Right.
And like behind that past. And eventually they're like, okay, well, what's left? And it's like, there's just maybe only like 10 different ways you can be a specific generation-wide style or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so like for example, if we were to go back to even, we used to do I would say pre-podcast, the closest thing we had to the podcast was our gaming channel where you and I would like answer questions while playing like Mario Kart.
Oh yeah, which
And-
by the way, there are more cups for. So I was literally thinking this morning we could potentially bring back randomly chosen cards and characters.
Oh, no way. Okay, well, that's a thought right there. However, I would say during that period of time, again, this is like, I almost feel like timelessness was just in style. And it's almost like since then, I feel like patterns have come much more in style. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like
wearing like a solid V-neck was like very in style.
Exactly.
Which feels like a very timeless look. Like you're sort of wearing a version of that right now even.
I sort of am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of like a light wash, almost salmon-y pink type of color.
Yeah.
The one though that I tell you will trip me up like crazy that I can never figure out whether it's in, always out is like the like leopard print. It's like this is one where it feels like I think I've even heard Alice surprisingly refer to it before as like almost like a neutral is like leopard print.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I would tend to see that as something that feels very like like specific, you know, like
Yeah.
like it's definitely like a very intentional choice.
Right.
But I feel like there have been times where I was like, oh yeah, like you remember leopard print, and then like 2 weeks have passed, and like someone who like would show up wearing leopard print, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's just still in. Was it ever out?
Is this person out?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
like I have no idea. I can't even begin to understand where leopard print is at any point in time.
Well, I don't think it's certainly not, there's probably way less men's fashion to do with leopard print
For now.
for now.
Maybe-
That's it exactly.
Maybe we should have
know?
a popcorn culture leopard print T-shirt.
Wow.
Like nothing. We can have like the peachy orange on leopard print.
Sounds great.
It's just
It sounds timeless is what it sounds.
it does. Like clashing, timeless.
I dare say, like, it's weird, like with like even patterns though, because I remember in high school, like I had like a few pairs of like camo shorts or something, and maybe I wasn't being stylish in high school, who knows, but I never thought they were like lame or anything, or they always felt like fairly appropriate for the general population of our school.
Yeah,
or whatever.
And I would absolutely agree. Like, I mean, I think camo is another one kind of like leopard print that comes in and out really frequently.
Yeah.
Because
Well, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think it's easily applied to like whatever cut and fit is currently in style. So
Right.
probably more of what was happening then. Like I've owned camo since like we've done the pop. Like I have had like camo like joggers, like
Yeah.
you know, and like I think probably more specifically what we had in high school was like cargo shorts, which
Yeah.
it's like it's easy to laugh at, but also like it was in style. Like we were still buying these things.
This is the thing. Yeah, it's like I am waiting for the day for the cargo shorts to come back around, and I bet it's not far off, because like one of the easiest things to make fun of my entire life was fanny packs.
Oh yeah.
And it's like they're just back. They've been rebranded. They're like called like side bags or whatever, or hip straps or what. It's just fanny packs, man.
They are. They're
just
absolutely
back.
are. They 100%. Yeah, it's like one of those things where like traveling to Puerto Rico, like
Yeah.
having like Alice has like it's like I think they all got them for Christmas this past year, but like a Lululemon, it's like maybe like 150% the size of like a cell phone.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's not terribly large, but like I wore it a ton because it was just so nice to have like all like your wallet and all that type of stuff. I'm describing the function of a fanny pack. But like there's such utility to it. You
Yeah.
know, like it just makes sense.
See, people are gonna come back around with that cargo shorts. Like you could just carry so much stuff.
There's no doubt. I think
I
we are
mean-
touching the edges of cargo shorts being like
Yeah.
back.
Oh, they're coming around. Just you wait, people. Just you wait. You know what else is going to come back soon, Ben? Almost no doubt, if this is where we're heading, is my awesome yellow shirt with the red splotch and the guitar player on it.
Oh yeah, probably.
Oh, for sure.
I don't
Good
even-
news, I've got a true vintage one just in the back room here. So as soon as it comes back around, I'm in.
Putting it back on.
Put it back on. People will be
Yeah.
like, "Whoa, is that genuine from the early 2000s?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's right.
It's vintage 90s.
It's vintage." Yeah.
Yeah. This is like one of those other like kind of painstaking realities, is the fact that I think that a vehicle like an automobile needs to be 30 years old or more to have like antique plates.
Antique.
Antique
On
plates.
30 years old?
I believe it's 30 years
That
old.
makes me feel so old now.
I know.
Are we antiques?
Well, maybe. There was once upon a time, I forget who we were talking to. Somewhere in like our orbit of like professional people we interact with for YouTube related things, but they referred to us as like a legacy brand.
Oh, how dare they?
I
Yeah,
know.
I remember this actually.
I was like, legacy.
Legacy.
what is it?
Come on now.
But what does that mean?
Like you've been like online for like more than 10 years or almost. you
Right, it's
know?
like that feels like a really polite way to say what I think I know you're saying. I think I know what's happening here.
Yeah.
Legacy brand.
Legacy.
As if we're wearing cargo shorts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then be like, those aren't going to be in for another 5 years, guys.
Jeez, we're from the
Man.
future, obviously.
Obviously.
No, you wanted the other one too, though. That has like I don't know if we're on the outs on it right now or not. I'm actually currently wearing a version of them myself, but it's jorts.
Oh, jorts, yeah.
Like jean shorts. That was definitely one where it was almost like there was no greater fashion faux pas than like like jorts and a fanny pack probably
Yeah,
at the same
it
time.
feels like you're right. Like jean shorts or jorts have been on the laughing end of the stick for a long time, but it's like, yeah, you can see them coming back.
Oh, you want to know another one is
Mullets.
Mullets are super in right now. Yep, that's another one.
easy butt of many jokes growing up was the mullet.
In fact, I would say that it is not even uncommon for all of these aspects to be put into a single caricature of failing to fashion.
Yeah.
But the other one I think we could easily include is tube socks.
Oh,
you know,
man.
like socks that go like halfway up your ankle.
Right, just like white socks that come all the way up. You know what? I'm pretty sure on my first day of 8th grade, I was rocking that look.
Were you?
I'm pretty sure. By rocking, I mean failing to rock, but
no, you were doing it.
You think so?
Authentic.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Rocket.
Rocket. Humid.
Yeah, it's so humid.
So humid.
Oh my gosh. No. Yeah. So there's that. And then on top of that, I remember back when I had this, the aquarium shop which was this, to be fair, was now 10 years ago. That's just sad to think about as well, but
it's really a legacy brand, you know,
it's a legacy brand. But I had this one customer who had a son who was like, you know, the star of the football team from some like local high school or whatever. So he was like, he would come in and they would shop for fish together. It's like their father-son activity. It was really cool. But the son was very cool. And I remember this being like one of the first times where I was like, I can tell, you know, it's like you're like 6'2" and muscular and like, you know, clearly on like the football team and all the, like, I can tell that you have the swagger of someone who is like the cool kid in high school.
Yeah.
But I remember him walking in, he was wearing tube socks with sandals, like the slips.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, it was funny because I was so close to having been going through the era of fashion where this was like out completely.
Yeah.
That I was like scratching my head like, you're clearly cool. Like I can tell you're cool. But like what's with the socks and sandals? How? But you know, it's like it was like my
you're
brain
upending everything I know to be true about the world.
Right, yeah. It's like my brain can't compute because things that are opposing seem to be in the same place.
Mm-hmm. That's what happens when you become an antique, Ben.
Legacy. No, I think even we could bring this full circle though, because I feel like knowledge was the belief that tube socks and sandals wasn't cool. Wisdom is the recognition that fashion changes.
Yeah.
And that even if you don't understand it, it doesn't mean that it's out.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. This
Yeah.
is very good. I think there's a lot to that. Like even like you get this is what happens. Like you get very stuck in your ways and like things that you didn't like start to come back around and you're like, incorrect. I know for sure. I remember for sure the reality of this not being cool, as being like just lame even, and now it is, and it's like, nope, can't do it, won't do it, and it's like, yeah, but what you're doing now everything's switched, and you just have to accept it, and either you can accept progress, or you can now be on the butt end of the stick. So
yeah. having that nimble mind. So what the big curiosity will be though for me is like I've always wondered what it will be like for Addison someday to look back at photos like of me going through like all these like various iterations, whether or not she'll be like, whoa, look how cool dad was, or like, I cannot believe you were wearing
XYZ.
Yeah. Oh, here's another one that I feel like has shifted since we've been going through like our era of fashion is the length of like a bathing suit. Like in terms of like for us guys, like where does the
this is men's and women's bathing suits have done like complete 180s, I feel like.
Oh, like where it feels like one pieces have become like much more in.
Like one pieces and more coverage for ladies has become way more in, and like shorter and shorter and shorter guys' shorts have become more in.
Yeah, it's true. It's all shifting about.
Yep.
But that's one where I remember like, because it would have been when I was probably 16, 17, 18, where I had my first job and I would go to PacSun and I would buy like, you know, Billabong board shorts and such, and the whole idea was that like you didn't even touch them unless they came at least to your knees,
Right.
You know, like,
At least.
and if anything, probably should be like a little bit longer than that even,
Right.
And now it's almost like if you're even within like 4 inches of your knees, then it's like, what are you even doing out here?
Man,
What-
maybe head back inside. Try again.
Head back inside, try again. I say that, but I still have a full spectrum of
Yeah.
of short
Here's the
lengths.
thing. Here's the number one rule above all else is the one thing that never goes out of style is confidence.
Hey,
You know what I
It's a
mean?
good point.
Yeah.
It's
Like
a-
it doesn't matter what you're wearing. Anyone can pull anything off at any time if you just go. If you just have the confidence to do it.
Right.
Right.
This is true. You just gotta own it.
Right. You just gotta be in the moment. You know? You gotta see the forest for the forest.
See the forest for
You
the
gotta
forest.
feel the music.
Yeah. I feel like we've done a good job today.
Yeah.
Having like an episode that wasn't intended to be cohesive, but has been.
you know, I think we're getting better and better as we do this at really going like full circle, getting the callbacks.
Getting the callbacks,
Yeah.
kind of coming around. Maybe this is us maturing, gaining
Yeah.
wisdom
Right.
instead of knowledge.
Right. Yeah. This is the progression. We've done 140 episodes of the pop now. And maybe we're starting to get sort of kind of a little bit good at it.
Hey,
Maybe not.
Maybe not. However, we do appreciate you guys sticking with us for as long as you have. If you would like to support the pop in some way, one of the best ways to do that is through our Patreon page, where we have a couple of really cool different perks available. But one of which is just simply that if you sign up for any tier at any point in time, you are casting a vote towards who is the one true host of the pop. So all of our tiers, for what it's worth, have that voting potential.
Yes.
Where you can choose the Jazzy J version, the Buzzy B version, or
Mm-hmm.
the host neither version, which has only
It's just
half
chaos.
which is just chaos. But it basically the opening music plays and then there's nothing but just crickets, but not even crickets.
Not it. Just dead silence for 15 seconds. That's what
15.
host neither means. And if that's what you want, then that's whatever. If you want good, solid, super duper hostmanship, you just go. You select that Jazzy J tier, and then that's it. Leave the page.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see what you did.
Yeah.
I see what you did. Anyway, at the $5 tier, you can get access to After the Final Pop. It's an extra 15 to 20 minutes of Jay and I talking after each week's episode, where we just touch on something that we didn't get to in the main episode or reflect on something we talked about in the main episode. One of the cool things about this tier is that it does come with an entire backlog of episodes from everything that we've recorded up until this point. So if you want some good bang for your buck, even just doing it for a single month and just power listening to everything, it's a good way to do it. Otherwise, at the $25 tier, we have exclusive quarterly merch where Jay and I have the opportunity to come up with something just truly fun and different as a piece of merch related to the pop. And the big advantage for us here is just simply the fact that we know exactly the correct number to order per however many people are supporting us at that tier, and then we don't overproduce, and as much of your dollar goes as far as possible towards supporting us. And usually we come up with some really fun and interesting things. Right now we have a challenge coin.
A challenge coin, which promises to be full of all sorts of interesting and difficult to notice Easter eggs and things about the pop.
Yeah, it's gonna be the type of thing where you're just gonna want to pay careful attention to it.
Just gonna
I
want to
think
pay real careful attention.
Just
to that coin.
just give it a good strong gander.
Yeah, indeed.
All of that again is going to be available over at patreon.com/popcornculture. Otherwise, we are also on Reddit, where I would highly encourage you to go and try to write the accompanying joke to Jay's punchline from earlier,
Absolutely.
which, as a reminder, is
You think that's bad? I just got stabbed pretending to be a snowman.
amazing. I can't wait to see what everybody comes up with that. I think
Same.
There's going to be some really good stuff. Otherwise, any other feedback you have for the show, you can send to popcornculturepod@gmail.com or leave us a review. It helps with the discoverability of the show and just means an awful lot to us, and as long as it's 5 stars. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. Until next time.
Pop, pop.